Good evening. This is Penelope Flynn and the rest of your Blerdsassins Next Door. We got Cranston and Nikki today, and we are on this lovely August 17th, 2024. I'm going to speak to you this night about how much prestige did communities of color garner from those prestige TV programs. But before we get started on that, we are going to talk about the weather, which we do every week. And Cranston, your top left, how was your weather?
It was dry for most of the week. We had some rain early in the week, and it was what they call scattered thunder showers, which means that you're drowning in one part of the city, but everywhere else you're looking outside saying, "What's that?" But it's been hot in the lower 90s,
Hmm.
um, but which has been no heat advisories and nobody who is that we know of that has passed out from heat stroke yet. But
Good.
other than that, it's been okay.
All right. Were you all scheduled to get any bad weather, storms, hurricanes, tornadoes? Nothing is
No,
on
we
the
have been
horizon?
in fact the last few years everything just hits either goes across the state into Georgia or just goes up the coast of the Carolinas. But we've been doing good. So
All right. Well, congratulations. How
yeah, of
about you,
course
Nikki?
only
What's
up
it
to E now, but
like? What about you, Nikki? How was your weather?
It was supposed to rain today, but we didn't get any rain, and it stayed nice. It's like in the lower 80s right now,
Oh,
but it got all the way up to it was in the mid 90s today.
right. Okay. And how about you, Otto? How's your weather?
Well, let me go check. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Hot.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Hot. Ain't expecting any rain, any storms, or anything in the next couple of days?
Hot and everything that accompanies being hot.
All right. Everything that accompanies being hot, we got. Okay. So, um, as we started discussing early on, tonight our discussion is going to be about prestige TV. And apparently, prestige TV is supposed to be on the lull now. But during the period that we had this prestige TV, the golden age of prestige TV, we started talking just, oh, yeah, prestige TV, just prestige TV. But then started thinking, man, how much prestige did communities of color garner during this grand heyday of prestige TV?
Well, wait a minute, though, Penelope. You got to explain what Prestige TV is.
Well, go ahead, Otto, since you jumped in. Why don't you explain what prestige TV is?
I'm not as articulate as you are, Penelope. Go ahead and explain.
Unfortunately, I'm trying to do a thing over here in the comments. So I was hoping you would do it so that I could get the
Okay,
intro.
okay. All right. You can be lazy. That's okay.
Thanks.
So, what happened is that Prestige TV is kind of television, usually, from my experience, from my humbled experience being a TV addict, as my mom called it, is television that comes on usually on Sundays. And it's kind of high quality television. It's not Gilligan's Island or McHale's Navy or any of those shows like that. It's the kind of shows that everyone watches on Sunday and then goes back to work and talk about it on Monday around the water cooler. So it started a long time ago, despite the I guess the HBO and the Showtime, what they want to say that prestige television started with the Sopranos or Dexter or something like that. That's not really true. Prestige television really started on Sundays when our grandmothers and mothers and our parents, we didn't have control of the television. It started with the Ed Sullivan Show. It started with Bonanza. Those type of television shows that came on Sundays and led our way into the work week. So it goes way way back, way before cable television. And so now, of course, when people speak of prestige TV, it's the type of show that comes on a Sunday once again that wins a number of awards, award-winning shows, Emmys. It has, it's in the zeitgeist it's spoken and talked about in popular culture.
Mhm.
Shows like The Wire and shows like Sex and the City, Dexter, um, The Wire, Oz, Breaking Bad, Mad Men. All of those shows are prestige television. All those shows came on Sundays, and all those shows were readily available, still are to a certain extent as they get rebooted as we go down the line as prestige television. So it's award television. It's not normal television.
Mhm.
You're not going to have a laugh track. It's going to be drama. It's going to be well scripted. It's going to sometimes contain or have in its crew, its acting cast, actors that you usually see on a big screen. So that is a brief, abbreviated version of what prestige television is.
Bravo! It was delectable. Um, so with that said, and one of the things you did say is kind of also that these are the types of shows that are generally put up for awards that we see at the Emmys. These are the names that show up for those type of award programs, which prestige are going for the awards, basically. So as we think about that, the type of shows that show up in the Emmys, that are these shows that are they're putting money into them, time into them, great scripting, great acting, um, and then how many of these shows, as we look back at them, are shows that kind of promoted or elevated either black communities or black actors or people who were behind the scenes. So with that said, I guess Cranston, I can start with you and ask you: are there any that come to mind for you that were shows that elevated?
Well, first of all, I'd like to ask the question: why do they say that the era of prestige television is over?
I
Because you
don't
have
know. Okay, go ahead.
because you have because you have shows like Game of Thrones that
Hmm.
ended, and for HBO, what happens to HBO happens apparently to everyone. So there's no show that replaced Game of Thrones. They try to come up with some replacements, but it
Hmm.
didn't happen. And then, of course, Breaking Bad and Mad Men and Walking Dead, they're either on their last, they're either gone or they're on their last
Mhm.
legs. And
Mhm.
so you can't really name a Sunday show that is,
Hmm.
as dominant as those shows were on Sundays or any other day actually, but on particularly on Sundays that people watch. You can't say it's the White Lotus or
Hmm.
it's not there anymore. So they're saying this is the end of prestige television.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I think it's slowly it's not ended, but I think it's just more diffuse now because it used to be, and if you look back at those in the old days, in the golden age of television in the early '60s, a season of a 1 hour television is like 39 episodes, which is like incredible to think about something like that today. And then it went down to when I came of age for television, it was down to like 24 to 26 episodes constituted a season. Then it went down to like 20. And now a season is anywhere from 8 to 14 episodes, which is good because it cuts down on the number of times you have certain tropes that come up, like the relative that nobody ever talked about, but all of a sudden they come up as a major player in whatever is going on and that kind of thing. Or, the child that you never knew you had or you never mentioned, and then they show up as an adult or something like that. Um, but for what it did back in the days, I think the models were they were better shows that were done, but they tended to exclude anybody who technically wasn't white. You had The Sopranos was a very good series. I watched a lot of it, most of it, and everything. But you might have a black character who like walks across in the background and stuff every third episode, but They weren't part of the mob, but they weren't even affiliated with the mob or anything like that. They didn't even have any people of color among the FBI that were looking at the bad guys. There were the shows that did feature black characters like The Wire or yeah, well, like The Wire, but they were principal characters, but the way they treated the communities that these stories took place in was a little bit problematic. And except for something like I think was it Sugar, which was probably the only show that I can think of offhand that had a predominantly black cast that had a lot of that was center stage in the show. Um, there weren't any, there weren't any unless you count things like the ones that Tyler Perry did, which
Well, Oz, you count Oz, right?
But
well,
again, black centered, but of course everybody was in prison.
Yeah, but
mhm.
they're still black, right?
Yeah.
And
But
so
I said this was
and
really
it came
prestige.
and it came on Sunday. It was part of the prestige lineup for HBO.
Hmm. All right. So, with that said, that these things are these shows that they have that are quote unquote prestige shows. And I guess if you count like things that they have on now, like, Godfather of Harlem and things of that ilk, are they also counted as prestige shows? But if they're streaming or whatever, does it not matter because you see it whenever you want?
Well, they're
Well,
trying to be. I think they're trying to be prestige shows. Excuse me, Prince. I think they're reaching to be prestige shows, and I think that a lot of it is like AMC was trying to get into the prestige show business.
Hmm.
It got into it with Mad Men and Breaking Bad,
Right.
and it took a while for them to break that so-called glass ceiling
Hmm.
that HBO was in and Showtime was on and some of the other streaming networks because it was AMC and AMC was equal to schlock. So the same thing as the Godfather of Harlem. It's not considered prestige.
Okay.
well, it's supposed to be loosely based on, and that's whenever they have to put asterisks around the description
Hmm.
of a real person and everything. I guess if you want to say something that would be a prestige show that's kind of made a dynasty is all of the iterations of Power, probably because they've been on for what? How long?
Hmm. But is it
Very
a
long time.
prestige show?
Yeah.
Very long time. Yeah.
But is it a prestige show? Is it getting the awards, getting nominations? With actors and directors and individuals like that? Is
They're not
that a
getting
thing that's
any. They're
happening?
not getting any nominations.
So it's not really a prestige show. It's just a show that
Well,
makes money in the scene.
it
Um,
depends on how you choose to define prestige. If you say it's prestige in that it gets ratings
no,
and it gets
a lot
ratings
of
and
things get
advertising.
ratings.
Yeah,
Prestige has nothing to do with ratings. I think it's
yeah.
when you're going after awards. I mean, basically,
Well,
that's what it is.
Hmm.
well. Let's go back to the beginning of prestige television, like you
Hmm.
said in the beginning, which is like
Hmm.
the Ed Sullivan show and Bonanza, right? So
I mean, with things when you say that, I mean, I don't think that those really count because they really are not prestige. They're ratings shows. They're family shows. They don't cover tough situations. They don't garner a lot of awards or anything like that. So I don't think they really count. I think that prestige TV was made to do battle with, the big screen, the small
Hmm.
screen television that is equal to the big box movies. So I think you have to think of it in that case. Does this look like it deserves to be on a glossy screen? And not just in
No, I see.
65
I see.
MCT.
I see your point, but it's to me also, it's a good point. But I think also prestige television is like the big gorilla in the room. It takes up a lot of space,
Yeah, I think it
and
does,
so I
but
think.
but
Go
I
ahead.
think it's not enough for it to take space. It has to be television that is put out there to be equal to the quality of what is done on the big screen. And in addition, the point is, is this going to be in contention for some sort of award?
I
Well, I
think you.
think
Yeah,
that
Go
I
ahead.
was going to say the Sunday isn't really a factor. The Sunday why Ed Sullivan and all those shows were on is because historically that's the day that gets the most ratings of all 7 days of the week. Because the family's home, supposedly Sunday dinner, everybody
Mhm.
was eating and watching TV together. So it wasn't for prestige, it was for a pure money grab to get everybody watching something together on Sunday, which replaced the time when everybody would gather together around the radio to listen to a
Mhm.
program. It wasn't necessarily prestige, it was basically a money grab.
Well, the other thing, the thing is, you say that, but does anyone know what was on the other stations? Number one, when Ed Sullivan or Bonanza was on. That's number one. Number two, to me, if you say that, that may be true in its genesis, but that doesn't explain the Sopranos, the Sex and the City, and Mad
Right,
Men,
Well,
right. Yeah,
yeah,
Breaking
but they
Bad
but
used
again,
that. They
coming in on
used that.
Sunday.
But
Hold
they
on, coming
used.
in on
Okay.
Sundays,
mm,
coming on Sundays. Five, six, whatever years ago it was on. So, which may have been
Again,
true in the '60s, doesn't necessarily ring true in the
yeah,
in the
right. But
20.
I think it does make sense. The
because
concept that
everybody
they
was
really
used.
created
Yeah.
that night, that time. It's like anybody knew that you didn't want to be on Thursday nights opposite Cosby, because that's a dead
Mhm.
zone. So everybody kind of set out. Sunday night. I gather even if Sunday night, people are on other channels. Everybody was home, so there's more of a possibility that somebody was going to watch your show. But because they developed that space, then when people wanted to start their prestige television, they threw them in that space. And also, it's a little later at night. Most of the prestige shows come on because I think they were mostly, in fact, I think all of them, adult targeted. And I think that's the difference between quote unquote prestige television and other television shows is that prestige shows were adult targeted, and they had more mature subject matter.
It didn't
And
have laugh.
again,
It didn't have
no,
laugh
yeah,
tracks
no
or
laugh
Bonanza.
tracks, and that they were also they're there to get the awards. They're trying to get those Emmys, trying to get those what is it called, what's the other one called? People's Choice Award, whatever it is that they get. They're
Golden
going
Mhm.
Globe.
Golden Globes, so they're going for the awards as opposed to going for the money, because a lot of things, of course, we know, even though they don't make money, that they are very good. And I think for like one shining moment, we were able to create adult targeted television that was actually good instead of whatever schlock people wanted to create just to make money. I mean, if it was up to all of the media outlets, I mean, we'd be watching reality TV all day, every day, because cost benefit analysis, right? That then cost as
Mhm.
much to create, and all they're doing is basically what is it, a commercial transfer device, advertising transfer device, is what the shows are. So as long as they can put something up, throw some commercials into it, they're good. I mean, but it takes a lot to decide that you're actually going to create something that is epic, thrilling, artful, important, dramatic. I think it takes a lot of commitment to do that, as some of the like HBO, AMC, Showtime, other outlets have done. So I think it is a big difference in just going for the money.
Yeah, well, I think sometimes it's I think that with the parallel with prestige television was event television, where, for example, NBC had their must-see TV, and there
Hmm.
was that row of comedies they had between 8 and 10, and then they put a drama on at the 10 o'clock slot, and it was the kind of thing that said, yeah, you're gonna turn on this channel. You're not gonna turn off until the until the 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock news comes on. And
Hmm.
it was sort of like the thing about spaghetti. You just throw it up against the wall and see what sticks. Um, and they had originally wanted to do it as an alternative to stuff that you knew was going to be bad. You didn't want to see another police procedural. You didn't want to see another medical show or something like that. And that's why you would do something that was aiming a little higher or going a little further, being a little edgier than the normal show. And even with that, some of those staple shows, procedurals, and everything could either be very engaging, or they could be at least highly entertaining, or it's something that you don't feel dumber having watched it, for doing it like that. But again, the thing is that those prestige shows are also kind of high ticket items, and you're not going to do as many of them. And some
Hmm.
of those shows you had to wait like 18 months before the next season came back around for whatever
Yes, yes,
reason.
Well,
And
I think that's a new phenomenon. Waiting that long because
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
unless you count shows like once again Sunday night, Dream On and Tales from the Crypt.
Hmm.
They came on Sunday nights on HBO. They came on. They were seasonal, so it's like if
Hmm.
after they finished their season, they were just going to a new season like a normal show. It didn't take like 2 years for it to come back. It didn't take like we're waiting for Black Mirror to
Yeah,
come back. Waiting for
right.
Black Mirror to come back, and it's going to come back like next year. But the
Well, it's like
last
The
Black Mirror,
Expanse. The
right?
Expanse, when that came out, it was a great show, and it came on.
mhm.
And I mean, I've said this before. Was it 2015 or something? They said, "All right, see you back to you in 2017." I said,
But that's
"Yeah,
a
you
new
won't see
that's a new
me."
normal, isn't it? The
Yeah,
new normal
I think
because
it's ridiculous.
I mean, just recently, like I said, Tales from the Crypt. If people remember watching that show on
Hmm.
HBO, it showed like whatever number of episodes, and then it came back in the fall, just like a normal show,
Right,
and then it kept
Mhm.
doing it over and over. This
right.
phenomenon is of waiting 2 or 3 years for another season is crazy. And to make it worse is that what AMC did, which I'm not sure any other network or cable uh platform did, was to get a season like Breaking Bad or Mad Men and
Hmm.
break a season into one season and turn it into two
Yeah,
seasons.
yeah. Pieces did it like in pieces, like one spring and one fall or some craziness like that. That was very strange. And the things expect that we have to accept it, which is really very irritating considering that we pay for it.
Mhm.
We're doing pay TV. We're paying for it. So why is it that, you can't kind of do this? And in the old days, as we reiterate, the whole point of cable television was that it didn't have commercials because it's
Mhm.
pay TV. And now they want commercials and they want us to pay, which is the thing
Yeah.
that kind of, chaps my hide on it. That the whole point was that we shouldn't have commercials because we're paying you. So why are we paying you? If we still got to watch commercials. That was the whole point.
I'm
Well,
looking at
that's
you, the Olympics. I'm looking at
Hmm.
the Olympics.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why some of them they do it in tiers. It says, okay, well, you can get it for cheap, real cheap, or you can pay $2 more and you can get it without commercials. Or what I've noticed that some of the shows have done is they will. I think they did it with the boys this year, where they said that thanks to the sponsorship of, and I forget who was the sponsor, but they said this show will be shown uninterrupted, except for this one commercial right here, which was the
Hmm.
alternative. So you could sit through 55 uninterrupted minutes of the show if you sat through those 2 minutes of commercials right at the beginning. But I think it's
Hmm.
kind of saying that we know we got you hooked and you're going to sit here and watch it no matter what we do.
Which
Yeah.
pissed me off about the Olympics because we paid for Peacock Premium
Hmm.
and it was supposed to be no commercials, but all of a sudden the Olympics were exempted from commercials. Uh,
Hmm.
so we had to watch. And the other thing about the boys is the boys considered prestige television?
I
I
don't
would say,
know.
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, parts of it are very new, interesting things. I don't know though because some of it's very puerile. I some of it is just you know just the adult analog of poo poo caca humor. And it doesn't need to be there. Like John Oliver, same thing.
Mhm.
So it's a poo poo caca humor, adult, an analog of that. It doesn't even need to be there. So That's an issue, I take with the boys. Yes,
Well,
there's a lot of violence because they are violent people, but it's like they go out of their way to just put the most degrading sexual content. That's what I don't like.
yeah. Well, the difference is I haven't read any of uh, the graphic content that it was based on, so I don't know how much they're sticking close to that, and how much is it they're trying to quote unquote push the envelope, and that's why they do it. Because there are a couple of things that they will do that you just have to say, okay. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know. I would consider it prestige television. I think it's
Hmm.
prestige television because of the writing and the ideas that they put on the show that you don't see in other shows. So I think
Hmm.
it's unique in its uniqueness. And I don't keep track of awards or nominations or anything. So I don't know how many awards and nominations it's gotten. It may not
Hmm.
have gotten any because it doesn't really have any outstanding, you know, actors that I'm aware of that are
Hmm.
in movies or something. But I would think it's prestige television.
Okay.
well,
So
there's
that
another.
said, but I'm saying, but that said, I know we've kind of gone off into the rabbit hole on the issue of defining prestige television, and we're almost halfway through,
Mhm.
and not focusing on the issue is how do any of these shows that variously we've identified as prestige, how have any of them kind of elevated the black community or black actors, Asian, Hispanic communities, how are they elevated or not? Or, what characters? I mean, I know for one, I take issue a lot with Breaking Bad, uh, as to be, I guess, contrasted with Better Call Saul. In Breaking Bad, it's almost every person of Latinx, Hispanic descent was a bad guy, you know, or it had some
And
issue.
scary. And scary.
Yeah, I mean, almost everyone. And, I really had a problem with that. And I know that in Better Call Saul, they still have, some really bad guys, like Lalo. But the remainder of the individuals, even somebody like Gus Fring, you know why he does what he does. He's not just this cardboard cutout like Tuco was. And even Nacho, that in the first season when they had him in like earlier Breaking Bad and first year Better Call Saul, he was just kind of again cardboard cutout. But in the second season of Better Call Saul, you really saw them work with these characters, giving them depth, um, backstories, where they were not just, again, the stereotypes that a lot of them were painted as in the first season of Better Call Saul and certainly in Breaking Bad. And I don't know how people in the community felt about that. I mean, of course, the one character who is elevated that comes out of it is Giancarlo Esposito as Gus Fring, who was phenomenal. But
Mhm.
again, even as Gus Fring, he is, a hardcore individual in the killing and the drug stuff. But also, this guy is tactically a genius. He has everything all figured out. And he and Walter White, are duking it out, their mental fisticuffs, mental gymnastics as they go, a mano, uh, with regard to the sale, creation of these drugs, the money, all of it. But it's not the same type of lowbrow characterizations that are done with respect to people from the Latino, Latina, Latinx community. So that always bothered me that even though you have these shows and they are otherwise, elevated, that individuals in certain communities are basically used as stepping stones in order to establish a plot. because we look at that person and we know that they're bad or savage or whatever they want to call it. For instance, The Wire, where all black people, it's like white man on safari. I'm coming down to teach at these schools or work in this neighborhood if I'm a cop or whatever. And you know you can presume as you shall how dangerous this is for me. So I walk into this community every day to do my job, and already to a certain demographic I'm a hero, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's done on the backs of the black community, and that's the thing that I did not like. I mean, we just sit here and we try to talk about these shows that we enjoyed, shows we did not enjoy, um, and realize that a lot of times, in order to do cultural shorthand to determine that someone is smart, someone is brave, someone, whatever, they like to use black and brown people as their foil characters. And a lot of times I saw that in some of these prestige programs. I mean, even when we looked at Don Draper and Mad Men, and when he goes back in one of the latest episodes, I guess the last episode, and takes his daughter and son back to the community where he used to live, and we're contrasting where is it they live, I guess some upstate New York in the frou frou house, and they used to live, with their dad downtown in some, shishi apartment. But he goes back to where he came from. I guess where is it, Kentucky, Ohio, wherever it was, and we know that it's a
Pennsylvania,
bad Pennsylvania because we know it's a
the
bad neighborhood.
hillbilly section of Pennsylvania.
But where it was that he left after that, and he went and worked in the whorehouse. And so we know it's a bad neighborhood because, of course, there's all black people living there, and it looks seedy and stuff. So you are the foil character because they don't have to explain anything. All they have to do is show your black self sitting out on a porch in the seedy neighborhood, and now we get it. You came from so low, and now you're
Yeah.
up so high.
Well, it's the
You know,
same with Sex in the City, which is to me a sexualized version of Friends, right? Because they're supposed to live in the city, but you don't. I can't recall one black character, one black female.
I remember
Um,
one episode, and of course, from the perspective, of these white women, that Samantha was trying to date this black guy. She was friends with the black guy's sister, and the sister found out that Samantha's trying to date her son, her brother, and said, "Oh hell no!" And the brother said, "Okay, I guess oh hell no." So she was just stunned that because his sister said no, that he would not date her. And I remember them saying that, something about her brother being a quote unquote quote black pussy because he wouldn't countermand what his sister said. Now, for that, everybody on their staff should have gotten punched in the face. But it's a
Mm-hmm.
white woman's show made for white women, not worried about whether or not the things they say are negative or denigrating, black
they
women,
got a lot of awards.
or the way that we run our households, our society, our communities. That she said no because Samantha, of course. I mean, and it's let's face it, if you're going to put her, up and determine her activities, Samantha would be a hoe, you know, and why would any
Wait a minute. Wait,
self-respecting black no black woman who's
wait a
a
minute, Penelope. Is that
restaurateur, right?
are you slut? Are you slut shaming Samantha?
No, because she was never ashamed.
Yeah, she did what she did, and so what I'm saying is that if she had been a black woman, it would have been a very different conversation they would have been having. But because she was in their little clique, and she was with this one, that one, and the other one, and their brother and their uncle, but it's okay. She did it. If Samantha had been a black woman, it would have been entirely different. Just like it's different if you have what is these? So 15 or 16 and pregnant, and it's all white females, white little girls, and that's the film Juno. Some white girl gets pregnant, and that's a okay. But if they had done that with a black girl, oh my God, every other
Crisis in our
negative
community.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, or even it's not our community, the other communities would say, yeah, that's just to be expected. That's a thing that they do. But if it's a white girl that does it, it's okay. So yeah, I took issue with that a lot.
But you can't name the character. You can't name the character or anything like that, or the character didn't go over like a whole season, didn't have a season arc
No,
or anything.
just one episode. One episode. But the whole point is, this one episode. This woman's a restaurateur. She's got a restaurant, and very she restaurant, and but she doesn't get a show. She doesn't get to, there's no Sex in the City show right for black women, and if there is, every black woman. What is the one? Girlfriends that
No,
Kelsey Grammer put the money behind,
what
and
about what about
they were.
Insecure? What about Insecure?
Or about that.
Is that not number one? I don't know. You don't want to go into the definition of what prestige television is, but number one is a black show. It's a show centered
Hmm.
around a black female, bunch of black female friends. Number two came on Sundays, and number three, all black cast mostly.
Okay, and I mean, what is the question?
So how the way that depicted black women, black professional women, um, black women in general, were you comfortable with that?
Oh God, no! I thought it was terrible. I couldn't watch it. I thought it was unwatchable. Um, the fact is that you had the character who was Molly. He was supposed to be her friend, supposed to be his attorney. And you have these, grown, black women. One of them was supposed to be an attorney at somebody's medium-sized firm. Calling each other B and this like that in somebody's restaurant. That's not what grown people do. I just no nobody I know. Now, I mean, I've had one of my sisters said that she knew people that did it. I want to say this: I have never seen anyone do it ever, ever. So I don't know if they saw these shows and thought that this made it okay, so they did it, or I'm just out of the loop because nobody I know would do that. That's a professional woman. Professional guys, do they sit in restaurants and yell and say stuff like that? I don't know. I don't know anyone that does it. It made it very hard to watch, and I wanted to watch it.
But it did depict black, people in a certain state, certain state of, I guess, professionalism. They didn't live in the quote unquote hood or anything like that.
I'm listening, but I'm trying to find out what the question is.
Not even a question. I think it's an observation, and the observation is how these prestige shows depicted the black community. And Insecure, I would propose is one show that did that.
Oh, okay. You're saying then it's your opinion that Insecure is a prestige show, and I don't know if it was. I'm not sure if it was created to come in and garner awards and things like to bring to that great acting and stuff like that. Um, to have a dramatic issues, revelatory um plots and things like that. I'm not sure. Like I said, I didn't get, waist deep into it. It was very difficult to watch for me. So I don't know if maybe somebody else has watched it and can answer that. I don't know.
Well, I would say that the other thing that we had to deal with is because, excuse me, that the characters were all millennials, and it could have been sort of just like an age difference that maybe, and trying to think of my nieces and nephews who are millennials, and they generally do not act with that level of I hate to say street in a negative way or something like that, but no, they don't generally carry themselves like that. Now maybe it was considered being edgy or being of the moment or something like that they did that, and I would say that they aimed at being something more than and we won't speak too ill of all of the Tyler Perry shows like Meet the Browns and all the other ones and stuff like that. That they wanted to aim at something a little bit higher than that. But every once in a while, you decide just to go down and um, not aim for the bottom, but just let you know that you know where the bottom is and stuff. You
Right.
know, to show that these are characters who are with it and that kind of thing.
I thought it tried to be a black Sex in the City. That's what
I
I
know you,
thought.
but you watched more of it than I did, so
I
you would
watched
be
the
able.
entire series. I
Yes, so
watched
that's
the
what I'm saying.
entire
You would be
series.
able then to ask me is not really the thing. You should just make your observation known.
Well, I wanted to know what you thought about it, but we can move on. I mean,
I'm just saying, but if you have an observation, make your observation since you watched it.
well, I thought it was a black. I thought it tried to be a black Sex in the City. I think it was a prestige show because I think it fits at least my definition of prestige. And then I also think that it probably would have been a better show if it had resembled the internet show that Issa Rae had called Awkward Black Girl.
Yeah,
I
that was
think
an
it would have been
excellent
a,
show.
I think I would enjoy that show more, but that's not
That
what we got.
was an
That's not what
excellent
we got.
show.
So
Yep, so this is what you think, and maybe what you wanted, but this is what you got. So yeah, I agreed. That was an excellent show, and that's what we thought when they were bringing in this new show that we were gonna get, awkward black girl, on HBO or where what station was that on?
HBO.
Uh, so yeah, we thought that's what we were gonna get, but apparently that was not the idea that everyone else had. So
Well, the other thing is, of course, network interference. And the one thing that they do with everything is they say we're trying to reach a quote unquote larger audience, not the people going to watch the show that you have with that, but you have to cater to this imaginary larger audience that you want to watch it.
well, for
And
instance,
after a
I remember
while,
watching a part of Succession early on, and so the guy, whoever the Succession guy is, I didn't watch it anymore, but the main character, and he's talking to this black guy, and being kind of pissy, snooty, whatever with him. And so again, it's like I want to use this black person, put them in this position, and show how tough and cool I am. I'm gonna say something nasty to him, and he's got to back down to me. So again, black people being put in these shows not necessarily as characters, but strawmen and props.
hmm
You know, and I don't remember the man's name who played that role, but I should remember the name of that man who played that role. Except that I don't know if he ever got any more role.
hmm
It's the difference different from like The Watchmen, where black people are prominently placed on
hmm
display because of the subject matter, because of the characters. So
hmm
this is something that definitely everybody who's associated with all the actors, you know, people, in the writers' room were elevated, with the Watchmen. And that's the only one that
hmm
comes to mind now that I think of as prestige TV that actually did something to educate people about something, of course, the Tulsa Massacre, and
hmm
elevate, you know, the individuals who are involved. I mean, there was some, the grandfather did some good thing, he did some bad things, but he was a well-rounded human, person, and
hmm
so I think that is the only one I can think of right now. I did not watch all of Game of Thrones. I know that there were some, people of color, roles in Game of Thrones. So if you all watched it, those who did, what do you all think of it? What did you think that it elevated people, or because it was a fantasy that it didn't matter?
I think it was a fantasy. It didn't matter because the black characters didn't show up until the last 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah, which is kind
And
of funky, isn't it?
hmm?
It's kind of funky, isn't it? That they didn't show up till they said, "Oh yeah, oh by the way, here's some blackies, put them in there, shoehorn them in now."
Well,
Otherwise you
I was
just
gonna
don't have.
say in the prequels, I haven't watched them yet, but there's several black characters featured prominently. So it's more like, oh, we didn't know that he wrote George R. R. Martin wrote this and they were black, so now we're correcting our mistake. And here,
Hmm.
look, we're gonna put it in the sequel to show you we've paid attention now.
Okay. Yeah, or it's different. That's just like The Witcher, where people were
Hmm.
saying, well, there was somebody complaining. There weren't any black people in The Witcher, and you're like shoehorning them in, and then the guy had to come back and say, okay, I was wrong. That they are in The Witcher. They are the progenitors of these Witchers. They are black people. So and so yeah, that was
Yeah.
written that it is part of their canon. So he had to recant the statement. And you see The Witcher, you see that those people are represented in the storyline. But when we're looking at things, for instance, like Mad Men, and I thought it was really interesting because there's like only a handful of black people in Mad Men. One of them being Don's secretary, their housekeeper, Carla. The early episodes, the guy who ran the elevator, right? You didn't see him anymore, really, too much after that. And I guess in the first episode, the first person that you see Don Draper talking to is the busboy, the waiter, busboy, I guess, waiter, busboy, at the restaurant where he's eating, the diner where he's eating, asking him about what cigarette he smokes and why he smokes that cigarette,
I
trying
think
to
also
figure
there
out
was a
this ad
character.
campaign.
Was it that British character that's having an affair with the black
With the
Playboy
Playboy
bunny?
Bunny. Yeah, the black girl's a Playboy Bunny. But again, she was in what, one episode?
I don't recall.
Yeah, I think she was in one episode.
Okay. True Detective, the first season.
Hmm.
The detectives who were interviewing Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey, who had a prominent position throughout the series and were
That's
not
true.
in a subservient position or something like that. So every once in a while, there are things where they do have opportunities to reflect reality
And
or
the
something
third
like that.
was it the third season of True
Yes,
Detective or second? With
with
Mahershala
Mahershala
Ali.
Ali.
Yeah, that
Ali,
was
yeah.
pretty.
That was quite excellent. And yeah, that was absolutely
That was
wonderful.
prestige television.
That was an
Came on
excellent.
Mhm.
Sundays, by the
Hmm.
Yeah.
way, too. Still,
Hmm.
So sometimes
Agreed.
it
Agreed.
depends on the showrunners if they're trying to be more inclusive, or do they just do they take a step back and say, well, this reflects what is actually happening in real life, and not just you put somebody up there to to be that third person. The black person has no life. They have no friends,
Right.
no spouse, no children, no parents, anything like that. That their entire existence is built around whatever white character they are attached to. So,
yeah.
Right.
And this season of True Detective, or last season, I think they had an indigenous population on
mhm.
the
Yeah,
I
along with
think
Jodie
they're supposed to
Foster.
be in Alaska or something.
in the
Yeah.
last,
And we got through the first episode, and that was it.
Well, a lot there are a lot of so-called prestigious television shows that take a shot, but they don't make it.
Yeah. But I did want to go back and finish watching it because at the end of that first episode, when the woman is apparently talking to a ghost, it seemed. So I really wanted to see where that was going. But we never picked it back up again. But it was
mhm.
I thought it was very interesting. First, because it is in somewhere like Alaska, but second, because they showed that the people that are there, of course, they're individuals who are natives, but also that there were black people who lived up there. I guess who moved up there and became part of the population,
Mhm.
which I think is they always act as if nobody's up there, but a lot of people went up there. Remember when they were building the pipelines, a lot of people went up
Mhm.
Gladys Knight was up there,
for work. Yes, Gladys Knight in her white parka. All
but
right.
also our favorite actor on Dexter, which is a Showtime series that came out on Sundays. But unfortunately, I knew it. I look at that actor. I know he's a good actor in there,
Mhm.
in there, and I hate that they put him in such a bad
Mhm.
position to be so despised. Like
Mhm. And well, which you said he's on something else now. Hello.
I don't know what he's doing.
Oh, I thought you said that he was on another show.
I don't know about
The
what
guy
show
was
he's
on
on.
Dexter. Okay,
Yeah, I don't know.
I misheard.
He's a Broadway producer now. We talk
Oh,
we talk often. Yeah, he was that new revival of piano lessons that Samuel Jackson was in and his wife directed. That was one of his babies.
Oh, okay.
oh.
So he's getting his prestige other places.
So is a possibility they're going to bring any of the August Wilson stuff
I
to TV.
there may be a change now that more and more communities of color are being represented on the places that make the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I think we will see more prestige shows featuring them, like Reservoir Dogs. Somebody brought that to them and they insisted that the Native Americans had to be the showrunners and
Mm.
involved under the productions, and that's why it got all the recognition and prestige it got. Um,
For
Grizel-
authenticity.
yes. And it was their story, so they're like, we're not going to try and tell your story. You tell your story,
Yeah,
and
and
I
how
think
can
as
you?
that
Yeah. How-
attitude is changing Hollywood. Like I just read that is it Channing? Hold on, I'm trying to remember her name. Um, yes, Channing Dungji. I'm pronouncing her name wrong. Is going to be now running the TV production side of Warner Brothers Discovery. And I remembered them saying that the only reason why American fiction got produced is because people of color, the only person of color was the only one who said yes to bringing that to fruition. So as more
oh,
people of color get into positions of power, hopefully we will see more prestige shows reflecting the communities. I
yeah,
know
because it's
just
very yeah. It's a very.
Griselda that was just on
Mm-hmm.
Netflix. The only complaint I got was they didn't show how, and I haven't seen it yet. They did it. The real Griselda was much more savage than how they portrayed it. I was like, well, you can't show that as an 11-year-old she kidnapped and almost killed her victim when she was back in Colombia. You can't show that on TV because kids are supposed to be innocent if you want to have any kind of sympathy for them. So, but that was one of the Netflix's latest prestige shows, and I know that there's a lot of flack that Bridgerton isn't. They weren't in the Regency era, and people are showing no, they weren't. You forget how extensive the British Empire was because they're getting kickback now for it's all interracial relationships or whatever, fill in the blank. And there were no black people back in court that time, and no Indians. And I'm like, yes, there were.
Yeah, and
That's
also you
how
have to
far the
figure.
British Empire went.
Well, that you figure also that Charlotte, Queen Charlotte, that was part of her lineage that she was.
Yes.
So, and in fact, we see pictures of her.
But the
You can
thing is,
tell.
to me, is and none of that matters because you have you know uh, ac- historical accuracy is meaningless when you have British actors doing Caligula and I Claudius. They didn't
Yeah.
check. They didn't check to see. They didn't check to see shit. That's just we're doing this. This is what we
Mm-hmm.
do. You're gonna watch it. We're gonna win the awards. We're moving on.
Yeah.
So we don't have to justify a damn
Yeah, and
thing.
have not been very, historical accuracy has not been their bailiwick. So now to require it, request it, demand it, is really disingenuous. But again, I think one of the biggest problems we have, and going back to something you were saying, Sonia, is that we talk about authenticity, being able to bring authentic voices, but when people have decided for so long what your voice is, and they have
Hmm.
created what your voice and your avatar is, with regard to your image, it's very difficult to undo the damage that was done. To say no, that's not what we do. No, that's not how we are. That's not how we act. I was listening this past week to Percival Everett discussing his book. I guess it came out about a year or so ago. James, regarding Jim from Huck Finn, and it's not a. He says it's not really a retelling, but it's kind of like a story of those spots where he and Huck are not together, what his life is when he is not in the presence, of these individuals, which, is something that I always complained about. I remember I was in high school and complained to my teacher when we had to read Huck Finn. I said, that they always using that N word, and sling that thing around a lot. And she said, well, it's not nobody calling anybody that. This is what the black people are calling each other. And then my question to my teacher, who was a white woman, was like, well, how did Mark Twain know what black people say to each other when he's not around? So, I mean, it sure is a certain, amount of presumptuousness that Mark Twain gets to decide that black people say this or call themselves the N word when they are not around. You don't know what black people talk about when you're not around, so you shouldn't be writing about it. But is again the presumptuousness to believe they know what that is, and that same type of presumptuousness is the thing that rolled over into the show The Wire. How presumptuous, of these, white men to think that they can tell black people what it is that we say to each other, how we live our lives in our homes when they are not around. They have no idea what goes on in our homes, but they think they know everything. And so they put it out there on television, and everyone just sits around nodding their heads, say, "Oh yeah, that's it." And then,
And won a lot of awards. And
yeah,
so those two reporters from Baltimore also wrote the series about the Katrina. I forgot the
cream,
series. Hmm?
cream.
Yeah, that was so-called prestige television. And they also wrote The Corner with Charles Dutton as
Directing.
the one that directed, which was highly recommended, which gets no play
Hmm.
on HBO. But if you watch it on YouTube, it's a fantastic series, but gets
Yeah,
no play. Yeah.
but it's about what happens from the perspective of the people, kind of that it's happening to. Very gritty, very uh, sad in many instances, but it is also just, it's not overblown. It shows, how people get trapped. But in The Wire, they just go full
It just goes.
on
Yeah, I mean,
black exploitation.
in the corner, it's like people get trapped, just like people get trapped on opioids, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, how does this happen to you? You know,
Hmm.
what is it that what challenges are you trying to address by going on this drug? And
Hmm.
so in the wire, it's like, I'm a criminal and I'm
Hmm.
doing all these things and I'm playing cops and mom. It's horrible.
Yeah. And I mean, where's the show that's like The Wire, but it's about, people in Idaho and Iowa who are taking, meth and on opioid addicts. Where's that show? And these people, it's like, I mean, they're not getting the money to buy the drugs from their daddy's trust fund. You know, they will not show these people as they are. They would do, a show that basically, I don't know, kind of like Rod Serling describing the Confederacy, these honorable Confederates, that this thing is going on, never mentioning the word slavery, but has no problem doing an entire show about, what is it, Dachau,
Yeah.
and the concentration camp and the horror that was, but not once, doing anything related to, even when they do the Confederacy, these stories, to mention, yes, slavery, people being held against their will, forced to do labor in these forced labor camps. So, there's none of that. So, I think, again, and it doesn't happen at the production level or maybe with the network levels, etc. But to be conscious of the fact that, we have prestige TV, all these years, that we've had prestige TV over 10 years, right? And not much of it has done anything to undo or counteract some of the negative stereotypes that have been put in place, for, since, what is it, Birth of a Nation, regarding black people. So you know, so if we don't have more prestige TV, you know, is it gonna?
You're saying we need more prestige television
I'm saying that if it's not going to serve us, why do we need it? I mean,
because it's
it's
good,
done great for many other people,
great
but I mean,
entertainment.
yeah, but the only one, yeah, it is good entertainment, some of it. But I'm going to say only the Watchmen's the only thing I can think of right now that did anything toward undoing, falsehoods, stereotypes, negative concepts. Maybe some people looked at it, they poo-pooed it, but the fact is that it was written, it was filmed, and it was put out there and done. So now there's another part of the narrative that was never there before. You know,
Well, it's help. The one of the writers was a future Oscar winner, so that helps.
yeah, and again, that's what we're saying. Not just the people who are in front of the camera, but people in the writers' room, like Cord Jefferson. If Cord Jefferson
Mhm.
was not, in the writers' room, would we have gotten, that episode? What is episode number 8?
Mhm.
Six.
6 excuse me, of The Watchmen, which of course, so many episodes of The Watchmen were nominated, for Emmys, but it was really, quite good. And what is the other show? The American, what is it called?
American Gods.
Not American Gods. The one that Regina King keeps getting awards for. What is it called?
The one with Cassius Clay and Jim
No,
Brown and
no, it's
no
a show. And she was on 2 seasons of it. One, excuse me?
American Horror Story.
No, I
no.
can't
I
remember.
know the one you're talking about.
Just American Justice? What is it called? No,
It's
that's
like
just
it
a
was on
show.
ABC, and
Hmm.
I think who's the
Timothy
guy?
Hutton was in one. Timothy
Right,
Hutton was
right,
in
right,
one of
right,
them.
right,
Figured prominently one of the main characters in that one.
right.
Then she was in
She
another one, which
was
was yeah,
she was excellent in that,
a supporting best supporting actress. I think she got for 2 seasons of
and
that show.
she
And
was really
American Crime.
thank you, something like
she
that.
was
That's what it is, something like that.
Yeah,
she was
American
excellent.
Crime.
Yeah,
She was excellent in that.
and
Excellent.
again, that is a great show because it showed people, regardless of their background, ethnicity, nationality. It was a story to be told.
So you're saying there's hope yet for prestige television?
Well, I think it depends on, again, as Penelope was saying, who's in the writer's room. If you have people who will say, well, this isn't the way this works, so this is what you should be showing. And it's
There we
not
go.
things,
Go back.
and it's not things that aim for the popular appeal or the lowest common denominator, that it's not like a modern day minstrel show.
Well, some people, some shows and actors, you can see that they're trying to go for the award.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so obvious. I'm going for my award. I think the mayor of, I forgot the name of that show, but the mayor of
Mayor
sometime.
of Kingstown.
Yeah, obviously going for an award. Obviously going for awards. I think True Detective, even in its first season, was going for awards.
Yeah.
It's trying to say, I am prestige television. Watch
Right.
me. I'm going
Right.
for awards. I think
Yes.
up,
And
up.
and
Mhm.
and if you watch these shows, then somehow you are also elevated.
Yeah,
Right.
you're elevated. You're not watching Gilligan's Island. You're watching
Yes.
something. You're watching something good. I
Hmm.
think on the horizon, I don't know what's coming up. I mean, I think HBO has The Penguin coming up, and I think a reboot of The Sopranos and an earlier timeline or something like that. And
A
Hmm.
so I don't
prequel.
know. Yeah, I don't know what's coming up.
I think the Daredevil Kingpin things coming. I know that they are not. Netflix is not necessarily putting these things out to be prestige, but I mean, the Daredevil stuff always was quite prestige, quite well done.
And that's the reason why Disney revamped it when they saw it wasn't going to meet those standards. And so
Mhm.
they had filmed an entire season, and Disney went, nope, not putting our name on it until you
Yeah,
fix it.
yeah, because
So
Daredevil was quite excellent. I mean, they all. I mean, you look at Daredevil, and it's like they were trying to do a film. Like everything, each
It
one,
Mm.
was really
it's
good.
like a
And
film.
you know, Penelope, one of the things I like is if I see a scene or actor or something that takes you out of the series or takes you out of the show and takes you to another level that's even beyond prestige. You know, I like those kind of
Hmm.
interactions. It's like the scene from Barry from I think his last
Oh
season.
yeah, the last scene of Barry, and I'm
And I
stunned,
don't know the
stunned.
actor's name, but he was in Office Space. He was the guy in Office Space that was always pushed to the basement. I
Yeah,
forgot his name.
Oh,
let me see.
Stephen
But
Yeah,
Root.
the guy stole
yeah,
his
yeah,
Hitler. Yeah,
Stephen Root. Yeah. So
yeah.
there's a scene. There's a couple, several scenes in Barry that are elevated. He wasn't nominated or anything
No,
for it.
the last season that scene, his last scene. Wow. I mean, I was completely blown away. I could not believe he was not nominated that season. He is the best thing on that show that season. I'm beyond Henry Winkler, beyond.
I think Winkler was nominated, wasn't he?
Yes, he was, but he was better than him.
Nominated and won.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was better. He was better than Henry Winkler. He did an excellent job that last season. I thought he was phenomenal. Henry Winkler was also quite excellent in that, and I just thought, I mean, if they were going to give him his quote unquote flowers, they give him an
Mm.
award, then I can't say that he did not deserve it, for
Playing all those years of Fonzie or
yeah,
Fonzarelli.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
exactly. You owe me, but he did an excellent job in it as well. But I thought that season, why? I mean, it's one of those things where you see someone and almost like you're breathless, with the performance. I mean, I was breathless.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was
yeah,
breathtaking. It
it
really was.
was. Yeah, it
You don't
was
see that. You don't see
phenomenal.
that kind of performance in a movie,
No,
much less a television show.
no. I mean, I
So,
really was. I mean, especially because it's so direct. I mean, just it just. I mean, really fantastic work.
but what's on the horizon? Anyone know is it truly the end of prestige television, or is it? Do we have any more Sopranos, Berries,
I think
Sex and
cable.
City?
I think cable TV has to reevaluate itself in order to do more prestige stuff because they're everybody was so focused on streaming and putting their good stuff on streaming that cable kind of collapsed under the weight of itself. And that was one of the things I was noting with Channing Dungy's takeover. She comes from scripted television. So I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure Warner Brothers Discovery will turn their direction away from the reality TVs and the competition things that they made them their cheap money to
Hmm.
realize the importance of scripted and prestige TV. So I'm hopeful, but I'm playing the wait and see game. And I'm also hopeful that as more people get into the writing room and into the decision making process, that we will see more communities of color reflected more accurately, more prestigiously, and hopefully eventually getting all those awards
Yeah.
regardless.
Well,
So
really quick, they say that despite the fact that every once in a while you just know this is just a paycheck. I need to get a new roof for my house, so I'm
Hmm.
going to do this or whatever. But they said that nobody sets out to make a bad movie or television show or whatever. And that if you try to, do something for awards bait, that's the easiest way to fail because you're going to be trying too hard and short shifting somebody somewhere else. The hope is that you will get people who actually believe in the projects they're working on and will try to do something elevated. And you will find that people, they will say that we're not going to make a story about this group of people because nobody's going to watch it. The people
Right.
will watch it if you make it a good, a compelling story.
Right.
And so that hopefully that will happen. That will make people say, "I'm going to stay home and watch this," because it is something good. And there are some things that are good that you wouldn't call it, like Severance, for example. For All Mankind is another one. There are shows that do really have high levels of production and stuff, and they are trying to do something that is a little more elevated
Hmm.
than just something that you're going to watch because it's silly or it's dumb or it's a remake of something that he did 20 years ago that you're going to bring back again, you know.
Hmm.
So yes, I don't think Prestige is dead because every time they announce something is either coming or it's dead, it's not either. So they're just guessing. They don't know till after it happens what really happened.
Right.
But I remember the really the big fails like Equinox. Um, what's Rubicon?
Rubicon.
Rubicon.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they really tried hard to make those shows. Lovecraft Country, I think, was another fail. You know, they were trying to say, look at us. This is going to win a bunch of Emmys, and it just fell short.
Well, yeah, I think, a lot of times, again, if you're just in it for the prestige thing and you're not trying to, really tell a story, but you're just trying to do whatever's necessary, you think to get, the people looking a direction, it doesn't last for long. I don't think you can, flex that muscle for too long.
Second season of True Detective with Vince Vaughn.
So I was done with Vince Vaughn, okay? You said Vince Vaughn, I was done. So yeah, that didn't work out for me. I tried to watch it though, because Colin
I
Farrell
did
was in
too.
it. I
Well,
watched for
yeah,
Colin
it was
Farrell.
after the first season. Yeah, I wanted to see this.
Yeah,
I couldn't
yeah,
wait for the second season.
yeah. Me too. And then it's like, man, why you want to do this to Colin Farrell? Why are you gonna put him in this thing with Vince Vaughn? What did he do to you? What did Colin Farrell do to you? So so that was very interesting. Um, yeah, but the third season with was it Mahershala Ali and what is his name from Blade? Um, who played Deacon Frost. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
really
he
good,
excellent,
really good.
excellent. Oh wow, they were so good.
And to me, you know, Hollywood. I take everything Hollywood says with a grain of salt. They say they want to show true depiction of black people. I
Hmm.
mean, you know, Don Draper is not a true depiction of a white man.
Right, right.
I just want to see. You know, I want people to bring to the characters and to their depiction of story, telling a story in a different way than we've seen before. Okay, so it's like we saw the boys, right? We saw that
Hmm.
scene where Homelander tells everybody, "Look, I'm gonna kill you all. Get out of here. I'm saving myself." You
On
know?
the airplane scene.
Yeah.
I
We
never
want to
seen
see.
anything like it.
Yeah, I want to see things that are
Never seen
different.
anything like it.
You
I
know,
was
I don't really care about
amazed.
Hollywood's version of the true depiction of black people. I don't think that's. I don't
I
really.
am concerned. I am concerned about it. I'm not going to
You
say I'm
concerned
not.
about it?
Yeah,
I'm not concerned
I
about it.
am. I'm concerned about it because we have to live with that. You got to go after they, put on, like you say, shows that, all, black people are dangerous, and then you got to go out and try to get a job. So yeah, I'm
Well,
concerned.
but is that true? I mean, you know, what
I'm
do you
sure
mean?
it's
What do you
not
mean by
true,
true?
but I know. I mean, I'm saying I don't. I don't understand what you just asked.
Well, it's like true. There's no true depiction of white people on television.
But you know what? They are not measured by the same um same
Naturally.
yeah, thank you, because let's face it, they have 1,000 shows. We have three. So if on two of the three you are just portrayed as negative, surly, angry, spiteful, thievy, all those things,
Mhm.
that's what people are going to believe. They have so many different depictions of how they are. Some of them even like fantastical things that are fantasy that everybody knows is fantasy. But again, it's all the time we see black people. We are, what is that? Keeping it real. I mean,
Yeah,
Mhm.
we're keeping it real.
everything.
We want to.
Yeah. So,
So you
but
make
even though
Don.
it's not real,
It's
they
not
act
real.
as if it is, and
So
then
you
that's.
make Don Draper. You make the Don Draper character a black man.
Mhm.
What does that? What is? No. Once again, it's not real because it's television, so none of it
Right.
is
Right.
real.
Right.
So now he's become like a guy who just sleeps around all the time and makes money on Madison Avenue, or does it make it any different?
Well, yeah, but it makes it different because this. Let's say all things being equal and the same. All you did was change the ethnicity of the characters. Don Draper, goes to um, Madison Avenue, and he is an ad executive working his way up. Going golfing and hanging out. With whatever, with the wife who's kind of on the mean side. Um, you would probably have so many people, just like with the Cosby Show, saying, "Well, that's not true. That's not real, right?" Because they decided that it was not real based on all the stuff that came before it. Now
Right.
they put Don Draper in it, and that's not real for him either. But that they will accept that. So that's
Mhm.
why it concerns me that what it is that people find that they cannot suspend disbelief on because they have written our script for us, saying who it is and what it is that we are, so much so that we are crammed into those roles in real life. Even though we never wrote them, we never planned to play them. But if the only job they give you is a job that is not going to pay you well, so that you are in poverty where you should be, which is because that's the way you are on TV,
Right.
and that is normal. So that's the thing. That is why it does
Well,
matter to
it's
me.
also Lovecraft country, right? Where
Yes, that
he
too.
where he woos the Asian American love interest, but he just had raw bone sex with the black woman, right? So he doesn't do
Yeah,
any.
I mean, he takes her into a bathroom, and she is a virgin. Okay, and basically the presumption is like it's okay to do this with her on a bathroom sink or whatever to have sex with her like that. And how many black people involved in this that allowed that to happen, and because they think that that's good enough.
Do you think anybody saw the dichotomy between that?
I
Anybody
doubt
saw
it.
that?
I doubt with the people who are involved with it. I mean, like, there's different people did different episodes, I guess. I'm not sure. But I think that the people who did that episode, they thought that was just fine. They didn't think there was anything wrong with taking this young woman who, though she's, kind of, out there, kind of gregarious, putting herself out there. But again, she was a virgin. And they don't
No, she's a
treat
black
that,
virgin.
that's
She's
right,
a
but they
black
don't
virgin.
treat that with any type of tenderness or
No,
care
you
or
compare that,
anything.
Penelope. Compare
Please
that
do.
to the married sex that Regina King had in Watchmen with her spouse. That's
Right.
different. Yeah.
Which was lovely, the husband and wife
Mhm.
and their, shusha kids, and which is normal. But then I want to go back and compare it with the relationship that he has with the Asian woman, the Korean woman. It's the Korean War, I gather. So he he and his friends set up a tent where he takes her and he's wearing his dress uniform and she's wearing a nice dress and they are watching what is that it's what is that thing with Meet Me in St. Louis or something.
Mhm.
She wants
Yeah.
to watch this
With Judy
film,
Garland.
and
Judy
so
Garland.
it's this lovely date they have, and then the camera with the Vaseline on it and the dress is all beautifully done, directing, and this woman is not even a woman. She's like, what is it, the nine-tailed fox? She's a monster,
Mhm.
and who's been like killing, all these men, but she is treated with such, reverence by the camera with the script, all of it. And, they don't even realize how off putting that is, how awful that was. Especially, I mean, I'm watching this as a black woman and I'm like,
Well,
what the
think
hell
about
is this?
well now that you recall, now that you think about it, what about the other sex scenes involving other black women on that show? It was kind of it was kind of it wasn't the most romantic kind of idyllic.
Right,
Yeah,
right, and so that's a thing, and I don't know what
and
to
that's supposed to and that's supposed to show that had black. Didn't it have black women
I thought
producing?
so. I thought so, but again, one of the problems is when you have been groomed to see yourself that way, it is a hard thing to shake it off. You
And
know,
that's
And
also one of the things that mentioned about Watchmen is that, and I think Kurtzman has said that, because they have such a diverse writers' room, that he would say, well, how about doing this? And somebody would say, well, no, that's not going to work. And they would discuss it. And he said there were things that at the time he did not agree with because he couldn't see it. But then after he looked at the other person's point of view, he said, yeah, okay, I see what I missed. And
hmm
they made the right choice. That's why you do have to have people that are not afraid to agree with things or just saying, well, it's okay because they did it somewhere else.
right.
And we're going to try to do it right. We got one time to do this. We're going to do it right, that first time.
Maybe that's the kind of writers' room you need, not
hmm
necessarily all black, all women, or you need a
Yeah, and different
diverse
ideas,
voices.
different concepts, different voices. So somebody could ask, is
Mm-hmm.
that really true? Is that possible? Are you fantasizing this? Are you making it less or more than what it should possibly be because of your certain personal position
Mm-hmm.
And
about
like
certain
Clancy
things?
said, not afraid. Like Clancy said, not afraid to speak up.
Right.
Yeah.
It should be a room where you're not afraid to say something.
A safe space or something. I don't know.
Right. Unlike Wyatt Cenac, who was not allowed to say anything to Jon Stewart. So that
Mm-hmm.
was not a safe place. He just didn't realize
I
it at
guess
the
he
time.
thought it was.
He
It
thought
seemed
it
like it
was,
would be. It seemed
but
like it
but he
would be,
found
right?
out that it was not. And maybe
Apparently
it was a
not.
safe place, safe space for people who were not black men. And maybe he didn't realize that.
That's
Yeah,
true. That's
but
true.
that's what happens. You all of a sudden you can get surprised to find out. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm the one they were talking about. That's why everybody got quiet when out
hmm
entered the room and stuff. So
Right, right. So people don't know sometimes. But wow, I see our time is getting a little short, and I know that we have announcements before we close up. So I mean, this has been really an interesting conversation, and I guess in the next year, couple of years, we'll start to see whether or not this prophecy regarding prestige TV is actually something that's real, or whether it was just a passing fad, or just something somebody wanted to write because they had to turn in something on their
mm,
they had to turn an article, had to put something together. We'll see. So yeah, we had some announcements. I know Cranston, you started with some stuff earlier today, and I thought we'd just go ahead and save it for now. Go ahead.
oh, we were talking about one of the things is that about when new voices come in, that we know about the thing that after H.P. Lovecraft's more problematic pronouncements became more open. They changed the name of the award, his award for the best horror story, to the something else. And
hmm
John W. Campbell, who is considered a major influence over helping turn science fiction into an art form, or not. Um, the award for the best new writer was the John W. Campbell Award up until about 17 or 18, when an Asian writer won, and she had mentioned that Campbell was not exactly the most um, uh, liberal of or open of people out there and stuff. That he had a lot of really right-leaning, super conservative. Are you sure what planet did you come from? Observations on politics and his race and race. And so they renamed that award to now just the Astounding Award for the Best New Writer instead of the John W. Campbell Award. So hopefully there'll be more evaluations and more nuance for a lot of these things that we have, and we will not exactly assume that just because this person was the first or the most prominent doing something that they were the best or that they're beyond criticism.
Hmm. Right. Oh, also remember Famous Amos.
Oh, and yeah, and we lost Wally Amos this Tuesday.
Wow.
Yeah,
I think
of the.
people. I know. I'm from one. I was confused about his story because I first when I heard of Amos, famous Amos cookies, I thought it was just like a spokesman, for
Hmm.
hired spokesman for the cookie, for that particular cookie. But then to learn parts of his story, off and on, it's a really interesting background, and find out how much of an innovator he was. It's really interesting background story.
Hmm.
And that's why, like I said, representation is important because the first time you hear something like that, you say,
Hmm.
well, black people don't create cookies, so they don't have their own business or something like that.
Hmm.
And once you see more people doing it, once you see the first one doing it, when the third and the fourth and
Hmm.
fifth one come along, you're more willing to accept it
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
agree
mean,
and
because I,
support
yeah,
I,
it.
I thought he was like,
the logo person.
flow for progressive or
Yeah, yeah,
any one of these paid people that
yeah,
advertisers made up.
yeah. I know he's the
Mhm.
guy. Wally Amos created the famous, which is a delicious cookie. The peanut, I mean the pecans and
Chocolate chip
chocolate
pecan.
chips. Man, that is the best cookie ever. And then I think they have a raisin one too, but that chocolate pecan is the best.
Thank you for making me fat, Wally.
Thank you, Wally, for that. Thank you. My waistline thanked you.
Yeah.
And also, like my sister was telling me, you see Hidden Valley Ranch dressing. Hidden Valley
Mhm.
Ranch. That it's a black family that owns Hidden Valley Ranch, and the
Really?
ranch dressing was created by that family,
Hmm.
and they sold their I guess their recipe, but they still exist. Hidden Valley Ranch still exists. Isn't that
Okay.
interesting? Yes, I mean these things are real things, real people doing stuff. So they're
Yeah,
pretty
we had to stop. I think we had to come to the realization that we are a mixed, not necessarily race, but we are a mixed country.
yeah, we're a melting pot or a
We are a
goulash
melting pot, whether we like it or not.
or goulash, where all our
Yeah, we've
flavors are
been
separate, but we throw them all in. Yeah,
we've been doing it with each other for a very long time,
yeah, and
and
it's
this
just an
this is what we got.
yeah. This is what we come up with.
Yeah,
So yeah, but I mean, again, sad that we lost, Wally Amos, but he definitely put an indelible stamp on our culture and our waistlines.
I remember him being on Taxi
Yeah,
program, Taxi,
I think I remember being on the dating game actually too.
the dating game.
Yes,
Damn, that's a
Being-
long time ago.
yeah,
So was he a contestant or was he
yes.
really?
But I think yeah, I think he was the person that the women were, what you calling him. I
Right,
think.
right. That's what I
Yeah,
meant.
yeah,
Contestant.
yes.
Is that a contestant, right?
Yeah, I think the women's the contestants,
Oh, the
right?
people behind the screen are contestants.
Yeah, there's the contestants, and I think he was
Okay,
one of those. I
okay.
think
No, I
he's
wouldn't. I wouldn't think
yeah,
that he would be one of those.
yeah,
Right.
I think. So yeah, don't quote me on it. You may want to look it up. But I do
Mhm.
remember seeing him on the dating game.
I know John Hamm was one of those contestant people
Behind the which one is it
behind
behind
the
the
screen. Behind
oh
the screen.
really? Did he
Yeah.
get picked?
No, he did not.
Ooh.
Is
Now.
there's somebody sitting there today saying, "Damn,
Yeah,
Missed out.
dang it.
One
So I
night it
messed
happened.
up. I messed up. That's all right. We all mess up, right? That's
well,
cool.
I think Charles Manson was a contestant once too. So
Are you kidding? You're
yeah,
telling a joke.
He was on the
no,
same
no,
show with
seriously.
John Hamm. He was on the same show.
Okay. Okay. Don't say that. That's not right. Unless you know for sure, do not
I
say
know
that.
that's not right. I made that up. That's not true.
Okay.
They're
Stop
not
making
even the
it up.
same. No, he couldn't be. He's not the same. No.
Yeah, not the same age. So no. All right. Crazy person. So saying crazy stuff. Uh, but all right, you all. Um, I think we're coming up now on what is it? This is the 17th of August. We're mid month, moving on towards September. So, everybody, I hope you have a wonderful remainder of your weekend. That we have a wonderful and
When's the
well,
last day
active.
of summer?
I don't know why you asked me that in the middle of my closing. Okay,
Sorry.
why you gonna do that? Okay, does anyone know when the last day of summer is? Does anyone?
Well, for media, it's always Labor Day is considered the end of summer, but it's like the middle of September sometime. It's the
It's the
actual
actual last day of
astronomical
summer.
end of summer. Yeah.
Okay,
September 19th.
Damn
all
it.
right. Now we know September 19th. Any birthdays coming up for anybody in the next week or so? Anybody? Anybody? We don't know. Nobody's
I
birthdays,
don't know.
anniversaries. No, nothing. All
No.
right. Okay. So this time, and for real, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back again next week with more discussions from the Otherhood. Have a productive next week. Thank you very much.
Okay. Good
Good
night.
night.
Night.